Hello, everyone, and welcome to our cozy studio. Here we have my friend and our expert, Igoris, who's from Lithuania. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much, Andrei, first of all, for invitation to visit Thailand, to visit your office. My name is Igoris Krzeckovskis. I am expert in the field anti-money laundering and anti-fraud. I started my career in the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Lithuania in July 93. It's means I have more 30 years experience. And currently I am working in different countries, mostly in Central Asia countries, where I cooperate with different international organizations in the field anti-money laundering, cyber security, and anti-fraud.
Yeah, that's very cool. For example, which organizations in particular?
Yes, in the last few years, we organized quite many training, seminars, workshops, and other events in close cooperation with United Nations Office of Drugs and Crimes, with Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, and other international donors, which key target of this project was really to develop capacities of different countries, different regions, but first of all, capacity in the field of implementation international anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing rules, and of course to enhance cybersecurity capacity as well.
Yeah, that's very cool. And also I've heard that you recently received a honorary lecturer in the Portsmouth University of the United Kingdom.
Yes, it's true. It was very amazing news for me because I started work, my cooperation with Portsmouth University School of Justice and Criminology years ago, and we organized also a number of events, number of meetings. And here I mostly cooperate with Center on Cybercrime and Economic Crimes in the field of anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. It's very nice that I could also participate in some training, workshop, and other such educational events already for British students and students from really worldwide, from different countries who participate in the trainings in Portsmouth, because Portsmouth University now is one of the key worldwide schools speaking about in the field of anti-fraud and anti-money laundering.
Yeah, it's really cool to have such a huge man in that small room. Yeah. All right. So maybe you could share some your personal experiences and, for example, the most unusual case from your practice that had a significant impact on your personal life or on the AML landscape in Lithuania, for example, as a whole.
Of course, working in Lithuania, I mentioned I started in 93, but in 98, in January 98, it was created Financial Intelligence Unit, first in Baltic states, and first, I could say, maybe in the post-Soviet countries, definitely first. And we receive huge responsibility speaking about collection of information, data, about suspicious transaction report, thresholder reports, financial operations. And Lithuanian FIU is police type of FIU. And parallel, we were obliged to conduct some investigations as well. And during my career, I had really few, I could say, very crazy investigations related with cash couriers. And unfortunately, but also necessary to note our maybe joint Baltic Sea problems, countries problem related with banking fraud. And speaking about cash couriers, biggest case in my life, it was in 2000, in beginning of 2000, when one cash courier from Poland was arrested in Lithuania, in Vilnius, and we confiscated $1.2 million in cash. It was, as I remember, it was biggest confiscated cash amount in Lithuanian criminal history. And second, of course, it was, as I mentioned, also some few stories related with investigation of banking fraud. And unfortunately for banking system in Lithuania, but fortunately, because we just had a good possibility to exclude some, like say, bad guys from our financial sector. Of course, I remember very good investigation related with banks, Bankas Noras and Uka Bankas in 2011, 2013, where I participated as well. These cases, of course, were really very important for me, and it was also, like say, my very, very good training for me as well, could I say, because later, after I finished my work in Lithuania, I moved to Moldova, and I spent 4 years in Moldova in position of European Union high-level advisor on anti-money laundering and assets recovery. And here I also supported this country to investigate the Laundromat case. You remember the Russian Laundromat case, one of the biggest Laundromat case in the history. And I am very proud that I also had possibility to provide my support to Moldavian colleagues to investigate this case as well.
How did you support that case in particular, with your expertise or in some, some actions in particular?
Yes, of course. In each complex financial case, when we speak about big organization as bank or, for example, Laundromat stories, where related with hundreds of financial operations, involve different countries, etc. Of course, here key of success of investigation, of course, is coordination of such investigation and, of course, use of all possible international legal tool, which Europe, especially in European Union, were created in the last years. And for example, now speaking about such cases, Laundromat, it was very important to create joint investigation teams where colleagues from different countries has possibility to cooperate directly, exchange information directly, and of course, just organize or make plans concerning next steps. And of course, we're speaking about such cases, joint investigation team, etc. Of course, we have in European Union also few such important institutions as Eurojust, Europol, and in many countries we are working now outside European Union. First of all, what I present best practice of European Union. First of all, Eurojust, Europol as organization, and of course such legal tools as joint investigation teams or JIT. And I think our Moldavian colleagues use absolutely perfectly all these measures which they really saw in European Union, and they started to use in Moldova as well. And I hope, because now Moldova, as you know, received European Union candidate status, and I think it's really, really good, big success for this country, which in 2014 just received this Laundromat case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a huge impact, because that Laundromat case shaped the whole AML framework, the whole global AML framework, actually. And after that case, countries globally started being aware of such thing as anti-money laundering. Actually.
Absolutely.
It existed before, but
only after such cases, only after some journalist organizations started to publish such cases. Remember, including Panama case, etc., Panama Papers and other stories. Of course, after that, it was a very strong signal for international society, for international organizations, and for government too of different countries. It is necessary to change the system, and actually, it's necessary to open eyes. Otherwise, the next Laundromat case will really have the possibility to destroy not only maybe some single country's financial systems, but already international financial system as well.
And actually, Danske Bank case is directly related to that Russian Laundromat. So Danske Bank was one of the institutions through which that dirty money flew. So
okay, non-comments, because I could say from my perspective as an investigator, I could provide some comment only about cases where I participated directly. But speaking about Laundromat cases, it's of course it's not single, actually Russian Laundromat, what happened in Moldova, but of course we're speaking about Laundromat as a complex complex money laundering phenomena, which was possible only using some vulnerabilities in different countries' financial protection system.
Yeah, absolutely. But going back to that $1.2 million case with the cash courier, how exactly was it happening, and how it shaped the legal framework in Lithuania and the practices as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes, first of all, we started to investigate this case from after we received a threshold operation from one of the commercial bank. That one citizen from Latvia visited bank and transferred to China approximately more as $1 million. And after some investigation, we identified this amount was paid by cash. And of course, for us, it was quite unusual. How it was possible just for Latvian citizen of Latvia bring to Lithuania such huge amount and to transfer to another country? Why it was not possible to do in Latvia? And of course, this was first signal for us, actually a red flag for us. And we started collect information about this Latvian citizen in close cooperation with our colleagues. And very soon we identified that citizen, I could say, belongs so-called group of associated persons. And of course, he is not involved in any serious business, and it's clear that he is not owner of such huge amount of money. But later, we received next signal from the same bank that other Latvian citizen also, through broad transfer, did some similar operations. And we said, okay, but now we need to really to make monitoring, strong monitoring of these operations, and not really ask this person about anything, not interview these people, because it was too early, and it was clear that for investigations will be not provide any additional value if you just ask some questions, not. And we thought, okay, we need to monitor operation, and after that we saw next operations, next similar operations, but only one thing was, actually only one rule of this operation: all money was transferred in reality in some Asia countries, and Latvian citizens were always changed. But after analysis of movement of these persons, all these persons, actually payers of money, we identify that all these persons crossing the border, they cross border only all different persons, but they cross border with one person, with one Latvian citizens. And after we identify that in all 5 or more operations, 5 or 6 people visited Lithuania, visited same bank, but they crossed the border by car or with another person. We understood this is probably another person who never visited bank official, never was fixed in some financial operation. Probably he is ultimate beneficial owner of this money. And now with our focus of our investigation, monitoring, or surveillance as well too, we use surveillance, this operation was focused to seize Mr. X, as we called him. And during, after one nice day, one nice morning, it was many years ago, but it also was January, as I remember, beginning of January, just after Christmas, and we received information that this Mr. X crossed the border. And here, in close cooperation with another law enforcement agency, we organized surveillance of this person, practically from Latvian border to Vilnius, to city center of Vilnius. Actually, and our surveillance worked with him until the door of this bank. And after the person came to this bank, we saw that he is not alone. He was with another persons, accompanied with another persons, who maybe also belong so-called associate persons group, I could say, yes. And after 10 minutes, when according to our plan, it was possible to pay his money, etc., we started operation. But it was inspection, first of all inspection in the bank premises in order to identify this amount, this person, and of course clarifies what's happened in reality. Sources his money, who is owner, etc. And during a few minutes, our inspection team informed me that they conduct inspection, they see some documents, they see some persons, but not any cash at all. Not any cash at all, but they already found persons, they found documents that this person, who was together with Mr. X, next Latvian citizen, was already started to fill document about payment of cash, $1.2 million. We already found document, but not cash. And it was questioned what happened with cash, and our surveillance team fortunately insists to continue work, and they waited our signal to stop. And colleagues from this surveillance team informed me that close to the bank, they see another person, absolutely, like say, so-called third person, but with big touristic bag. It was early morning, it was small bank in the city Vilnius center, not many people around, and this person was really quite strange. What could do this person with big touristic bag close to the bank so early morning? Yeah. I don't know. Yes, and we said, okay, for our inspection team, maybe 2 guys from our inspection team, just ask this person what you're doing here. And they asked, after they started to ask questions, this person informed us that first of all, he's from Poland. He's a citizen of Poland. He came from Poland today morning by railway, and he has in touristic bag money. Why? What is the reason? Just I need to give somebody in bank his money, cash. He told, and he provided us quite true story. But it was one small issue, one small point here. We asked, did you declare this cash crossing the border? He said, of course not, but it was necessary. And his answer started absolutely new story for us, new history in the, new history in, at least in activity of my service. When we checked his bag, we identified that inside bag in 10 white big packages, in each one it was $120,000. And after that we understood that at least in 10 we have must have $1.2 million. It was absolutely crazy and fantastic amount for our people, for our investigators. But after we identified this money, I could say all people were arrested around this story. First of all, these two Latvian guys, first this Polish guy, and we just transported all these people to our service, just clarify this fantastic story. What's really happened? Because in the beginning, it was absolutely crazy that we worked. Our focus was on Latvian citizen, but now it was necessary to invite Polish translator to interview this new actor in our guest or new our client. And during this investigation, we understood that this was really a quite long story related with illegal cross-border cash transportation to Lithuania. And this story in reality started in the illicit market of goods in Poland. Maybe you remember such story about big Polish stadiums where a lot of people sold different type of goods. And such type of market concentrated a lot of cash. It was necessary to transfer cash to Asia countries, to producer of goods, just to pay for new sea containers, etc. And here, these Polish criminals, they used typical money laundering scheme. It was, as you know, some placement already. You know, three steps of money laundering. And here was one of the first step of money laundering, classical step, to bring money to another country. Yes, it was done because they said, if you go to Poland, if you go to Polish bank, and if Polish bank sends suspicious transaction report to FIU, we probably could have problem in the future because they decided, okay, let's go to another country. But they said, okay, if you go to another country and somebody from Poland will bring this money to bank and it will be identified as Polish citizen, of course, this bank could send information to Lithuanian FIU and Lithuanian FIU could send information to Polish FIU. It's absolutely logic. In this case, they agreed and they decided to invite citizens of Latvia just to imitate. This citizen of Latvia is owner of money, and this citizen of Latvia transfer money to own partners in China or somewhere. Okay, it was done. But unfortunately, these criminals, they didn't understood that our monitoring system at Lithuania was focused not only to clients of the banking sector, but also one of our key tasks was clarify source of money and beneficial owner of this money. It's not different, or it's a company, or it's a natural person. Absolutely not different. And after we saw this transfer of operation, its first idea was that somebody else controls this person, somebody else is owner of this money, is somebody else knows who is final beneficiary of money somewhere in China. Yes, and after that, using such logic, we identify all this criminal scheme and we confiscated this cash. But cash, of course, was confiscated by court decision. And why it was confiscated? Because judge said, okay, you, with this Polish citizen, cash courier, you transported cash to Lithuania without declaration, crossing border, what was necessary this time. And you did crime, first of all, according to our criminal code, article smuggling. But it was, of course, quite difficult to prove money laundering, you know. But it was enough evidence to prove smuggling and finally confiscate this money.
Smuggling without declaration.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but because you don't know the origin of that money, if it came from a crime or not a crime, is it legal or illegal, you cannot prove a money laundering case.
It's quite difficult because now current EU legislation asks us to investigate such cases without clear evidence of predicate offense. Yes, but in this time, for our court system, was necessary to have clear evidence about predicate offense, and we received information that money came not from legal activity, but investigation. We have really doubts that investigation will be successful, and we decided with prosecutor that now our final target is confiscation of assets, and we could achieve this target, just bring case against smuggling to the court. It was done, and investigation, as remember, it was duration of investigation was approximately 3 or 4 months, what is absolutely fantastic for us, because it was very short time, because such cases usually ask 1, 2 or more years for investigation.
Yeah, that's absolutely a fantastic case. But what was its impact on the legal framework of Lithuania, on the practices, and maybe about the technologies? Could the technologies possibly foresee that case coming?
Absolutely. Yes, this case was signal not only for Lithuanian legislation, but first of all for international legislation as well. Because please believe me, it was not single case only in single country. Such cases were clarified and investigated in many countries. We received also very interesting practice of our German colleagues acting in Frankfurt International Airport, Dutch colleagues working in Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport, from Estonia too, as well, about some different type of violations or crimes related with cash transportation, cross-border transportations. And it was very good signal for European Union that necessary to do something, to change something. And after that, a few years after that, it was developed and approved special regulation of European Union concerning cash couriers, where it was, I could say, revolution was done. Why? Because it first time was clarified that during crossing the border, a person having in pocket cash obliged not only declare that same fact that he brings his cash to another country or brings his cash to my country, but also this person obliged to provide information about source of assets and detailed information. Why? Because it was noted, and according to FATF as well, recommendation 32 cash couriers, that is necessary during such procedure is necessary to ensure for customs officer that money not only declare, but money not related with crime. And according to EU regulation now, according to new type of cash declaration, you obliged to declare not only cash, but also provide all necessary information about source of money. But it's first step, but only first step. Next step was, of course, development of definition of ultimate beneficial owner. Because this case illustrated us that person who coming to a bank who provide or conduct some financial operation could be absolutely outside understanding what kind of money he bring, etc. Why? Because probably this money he received close to the door of bank from absolutely other person, different persons, maybe unknown persons as well, who knows. But it was questions that necessary to do some things in order to identify beneficial owners. And fortunately for us, FATF, in new list of recommendations, new 40 recommendations approved in 2012, already included clear definition about ultimate beneficial owner. Who it is, it must be a natural person, etc., etc. And after that, unfortunately, only after 3 years, but this definition came to the 4th EU AML directive. And now it was clear signal for all financial sector, or better to say to all obliged entities or AML reporting entities, working with clients, conducting customer due diligence procedure, identify not only, I could say, client, but who could be behind the client. As this case illustrated, that person who bring 1 or 2 or more millions sometimes could be absolutely outside understanding what kind of money he bring, etc. Yes, and of course here discussion was started about money moves phenomena. And since I remember I visited a few meetings of Europol where Europol already started to pay attention on that. And I could say here and now financial institutions also implement development some mechanism how to prevent financial operations related with so-called money moves. Yes, many different steps. Just after this, speaking friendly for the world, it was small case. But for us, it was huge case which initiated a lot of next steps.
Yeah, that's really cool. And what about technologies? Could they possibly foresee such cases, and what's the role of a human being in that area, and how, and can possibly, that's a popular rhetoric that a human being will be replaced by artificial intelligence, which I don't believe is true, but what's your opinion on that matter?
Better to say about my experience, not opinion, but experience, because opinion, of course, we absolutely agree with you that speaking about analysis of big amount of data, for us it's necessary to have to do good technologies, develop good technology, and of course, artificial intellect could be used as well here. But speaking about development of technology, what is necessary to do? It's necessary to understand that we as FIU, we receive every day 100,000 and per year maybe hundreds or millions of operations. And we must be absolutely sure that each single operation is analyzed, but not forgotten. Because sometimes I could say we could we could start very interesting investigation just after receiving of report concerning $10,000. And sometimes we receive information about millions of dollars, but absolutely legal money and related with legal business. And here technologies, or better to say not maybe artificial intellect, but special algorithm developed by FIU expert in close cooperation with private sector expert as well, could really support not only financial intelligence unit, but of course banking sector, financial institutions working with big amounts of data every day to identify some red flag operations. But what it means? It means that this operation is outside of usual activity of client. And for us, of course, we have different type of client, many different type of client. And what I mentioned about, it was first signal for us because it's foreign person. Mm-hmm. And we understand that about foreign person, our internal database, fortunately, we don't have enough information, but we have other type of information, maybe about cross-boarding, maybe about flights, different type of information which you could use just to identify that probably this operation is suspicious and why it's suspicious. But now, of course, speaking about such operations as I presented you and using current technology, it's very easy to identify this person is really frontman or money mule. Why? It's just information that if he or she are from Latvia, and we already have a lot of using OSCE tools, we already have access to many different types of Latvian databases, and already from Lithuania, it's possible to identify that this person probably is not owner of this money, and why? Not information about working place, not information about professional activity, not information about education, nothing. It means, of course, it's clear signal that probably this person is not representative of some successful business. And after that, of course, it's first signal that we need really to include this operation in the list of, high-risk operations and conduct all necessary measures. But we speak about human being. It means FIU officer or anti-money laundering officer of bank. But, of course, now you understand very good that it's very easy to do for artificial intellects. Just if you really will, programming of such algorithm, which could answer very soon that if person open account in your bank and try to conduct financial operations, you identify, for example, 10, 20 or more thousand euros, and you see that you get signal from your analytical artificial intellect tools that this person probably is not related with this money, is not owner of this money. Of course, it's automatically signal for you, customer due diligence, enhanced customer due diligence, suspicious transaction report, and maybe freezing of suspicious operation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
different type of tool.
But you should choose the tool wisely, because otherwise you are doomed to have a lot of false positives.
Not only false positive, but sometimes reacting in the early stage, or could say of such criminal activity, you could really destroy all successful investigation as well. Mm-hmm. Because now in many anti-money laundering law of different countries, we have power that FIU could inform bank, don't freeze suspicious operation in some cases when it's necessary for investigation. I could say in this Latvia case, we arrested these guys related with this game, maybe only 5th or 6th attempt to conduct some operation. If we will just try to do some things during the first operation properly, it will be absolutely unsuccessful. But only after we saw trend, we understood the reason of this operation, how risk is related with this operation, and our reaction was absolutely correct. And the result was absolutely successful. Because it's also, speaking about that, it's speaking about, conclusion that artificial intellect could really support you identify bad guy, bad financial operation, etc. But decision concerning tactic of this investigation, next steps must be taken by person.
Yeah, absolutely. So the human being will always be present.
Absolutely.
Don't worry.
Absolutely, yes. I agree with that.
There is the future for AML officers, of course.
Yes, here, if I could say, artificial intellect could do a lot of nice job, but final decision concerning final solution must be done, of course, only by person, because, of course, false positive. And we don't really like to have such operations if we start to create problem with clients who works with us absolutely legal money. Maybe a little bit unusual, but legal. And of course, for us, it's very important not really destroy legal business, not create problem for legal business, just having some suspicions. Absolutely not. What I really mentioned for me, anti-money laundering, because I already working most 20 years with anti-money laundering, must be not result in so kind of schizophrenia. Absolutely not. If we start to go to some crazy suspicious of everybody for everything, of course we destroy, first of all, not effective anti-money laundering system, but we create serious problem for legal taxpayers.
Absolutely. One question also regarding the artificial intelligence. We financial institutions and non-financial institutions, like obligated entities, like let's call them like that, they spend a lot of resources on customer due diligence when onboarding a client. Could we possibly delegate that process to AI and that decision-making to AI?
I could say yes, absolutely. I agree with you. It's possible, but only in one case. If you know that, first of all, your AI, it's high quality AI. It means that your AI is enough educated, and has access into, like say, number of different databases, etc., which support to do some things. Because first, if AI will be not educated, if number of external database will be limited, of course you will have you will always have everyday problem, because you will get hundreds of suspicious transaction, red flag signal, etc., which really destroy, first of all, your daily work, because you need to react for everything. And I could say, yes, I agree that it is necessary to use AI, but first of all, I always note high quality AI, which really good educated, which could be, when you really make programming concerning education system, that each case, each signal, which will be positive, not false positive, but really positive, will be, some learning for this AI. Yes, it's true. But in other case, it will be not solution. It will be really crazy problem for you.
Absolutely. But regarding the quality of that AI, how can we ensure that it's quality? For example, if I use somehow certified that those transaction monitoring systems as well, or it can kill the competitiveness.
Yes, absolutely. One of the, for example, such tool from my practical experience, how you could develop AI. First of all, what you need to translate all kind of typologies or successful investigation in algorithm language. It means you need to AI in the beginning, it will be your student, which must receive from you in understandable for AI language, technical language, all necessary information or books or trainings and concerning typologies. What is typology? Typology is a positive investigation related with money laundering, related with drugs as predicate offense, fraud, cyber crimes, some illegal operation with virtual assets, etc., And each positive case, each successful case, you must translate in artificial intellect language, provides this artificial intellect, and really to be sure that will be used correctly, that artificial intelligence understood correctly, that taken that on board, and after that, yes, you will be happy, because next typology, if it's happened, is a step already attempt, probably artificial intelligence will identify and send to you that please look, because this operation may be related with money vaults, may be related with cash courier, may be related with fraud, embezzlement, corruption, or something. Yes, but only in case that it will be good student and you will be good professor. If not, not.
And what about the role of financial intelligence units in that case? Should they certify probably?
Yes, I could say, but if we speak about professors for artificial intellect, of course, expert of FIU, they're best professors, absolutely. Why? Because only FIU usually, they understand, they see not only end of story, when we have some public release about successful case, when judge confiscate money, put person in prison, etc. Not, absolutely not, because it's end of story. For artificial intelligence, we need to really provide story from the beginning, how FIU officer understood that this operation is really suspicious or unusual. How it was done. Or AML officer by bank understood this is suspicious and presented suspicious transaction report from the beginning. And here is a key role of FIU is key role. Why? Because only FIU could understand it from the beginning. But if you collect this story step by step from the beginning, and you create this house, but you understand fundament, you understand the roof, you understand the windows, because you are architect of this case. After that, you translate this in technical language and provide artificial intelligence. Without FIU, practically is really impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yes, and for me, why I could know that, because I started my activity in FIU of Lithuania in January '98. I was deputy head of, and it was, as I mentioned already, first FIU established in post-Soviet countries as well. It was difficult to get any training, because I remember first our training we probably received from Finland, but in Poland this time, not in Latvia, not in Estonia, not in other neighbor country, FIU was established at all. And I could say our training was related with practical investigation conducted by colleagues acting in the field of combating organized crime, drugs crime, corruption, etc. We receive information not about money laundering, we receive information about predicate offense, and from information which we already started to receive from financial institutions, we just connected information about predicate offense investigations, maybe about financial component of these investigations, and our banking information. And after we related that, connected that, we started to understand where at least we need to go in order to identify money laundering. Because first case, money laundering was criminalized in Criminal Code of Lithuania, as I remember, in 97. But first case, if I'm correct, it was only first criminal for money laundering was charged in Lithuania, was convicted in Lithuania probably only in 2004. But as I remember, it was inhabitant of Estonia. I remember this case very good, and just it was for us some strange stories that first person who was convicted in history of Lithuania for money laundering, it was Estonian inhabitant.
That's really cool. All the Baltic states AML history started in Estonia.
Many things. But for us, it was really his first court decision. It was really as book for us, training materials, which many, not only FIU, but prosecutors analysis case, judges analysis case, our law expert analysis case. Yes, this was really, but first case when it was finally approved, internally was finally convicted.
Yeah, that's really strange, because so much time passed from that point of time when the the money laundering was criminalized. Maybe because not much attention was paid to that.
Because, for us, it was quite difficult to correctly implement European Union legislation. Because, if you go deeper to definition of money laundering, what's really mean, it's quite difficult to understand. It's not very clear for law expert or financial intelligence or prosecutors and judges. And for us, it was necessary to connect all components of money laundering. That first, money came from criminal activity, and it's necessary to prove criminal activity. Second, that is necessary to prove way from predicate offense to financial system. Necessary to prove use of assets using legal financial system, etc. It was not so easy. But in this case, in first case, where it was only one person involved in reality, it was possible to prove. And court agreed with our arguments that is crime, money laundering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can see that there are a lot of non-compliance issues, a lot of fines related to non-compliance with the AML CTF legislation, not because terrorist financing grows in numbers, it's just because FIUs and international organizations grow their resources and identify more cases. But whereas money laundering and terrorist financing is somewhat static. It doesn't grow exponentially, as we can see from the news. And we grow it, and we add some technology, we add some education, and we start identifying more cases.
Yes, but more cases, but I always would like to know that we need not only number of cases. We need, I could say, number of successful stories, and I could say number of new initiatives related with enhancing of the prevention system. Because, global economy create every day for us a lot of positive products, a lot of advantages, a lot of new mechanism to develop our business, etc., etc. But on the other hand, if we speak about vulnerabilities of this fast-growing global economy, we always guess that one of the bad point is possibility to use such a fast ongoing mechanism for criminal operations as well. And here, for me, always, because for me, I was appointed as head of anti-money laundering unit in Lithuania in my organization in 2000. And I remember my first, and it was personal position too, that it's necessary to develop good cooperation between FIU and obliged entities, especially financial sector, because I always noted during my meeting with banking sectors that we with you, with me, really are in the one boat, in the same boat. And if happens with this boat, we go down together. Maybe first banking sector, but next FIU. Maybe first FIU, but next, please believe me, banking sector, because we see quite many, I say, stories related with grey list of FATF.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand why some countries are really invited to be member of this list, the reasons. And I can say for each country, the key target maybe is to improve anti-money laundering system, but to do that together by FIU, by supervisor, and by obliged entities. If this, I could say, triangle will work not correctly, it will be problem. It will be problem, or it will be problem for legal business because it will be too much problem for legal business, or it will be really a lot of problem to FIU and supervisory mechanism. Why? Because we will have so many suspicious transactions that it will be impossible to really understand and identify priorities. It will be so many high-risk operations that I could say, yes, we could confirm 100 of national risk assessment report, etc., but it will be a nice piece of text, but nothing small.
All right. Moving on to international cooperation and considering your experience in different international organizations, what steps, what do you think, need to be taken to improve international cooperation in the AML CTF landscape?
Okay, first of all, for me, it's very nice to know that I was witness of the development of activities of many international organizations responsible for anti-money laundering. And secondly, that I also participated in activities directly of such organizations because, for example, after I retired from Lithuanian law enforcement system, I spent 1 year in United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, headquartered in Vienna, working with different type of anti-money laundering programs worldwide. And of course, speaking about such institutions as Egmont Group, for example, which was really nice, as we call that, it's financial Interpol.
Yeah. Because
now members are approximately 170 FIUs. We came to Lithuania, received membership in this organization already in May 1999. And after that, I try always participate in activities. And I see very positive activity such organization because, first of all, what we need for FIUs. We need for FIUs some instruments or channels of exchange of information and requests concerning suspicious operations. Because sometimes if FIU send request to another FIU using international channels and feedback could be not this day but next day, it's already too late. Because first of all, the key task of such international organization to really provide all necessary support to financial intelligence unit to exchange information. And what I'm working now a lot of outside European Union in so-called third countries, but everywhere presents experience of such organization as Europol, where, for example, was established quite many years ago so-called FIUNet, or special channel network supporting European Union countries, financial intelligence unit exchange information. But we understand that technical channels, it's only one thing. But what is important for us? Development of international standards. And here, for example, just example of FATF is the best example which we could provide because here organization, it's really, except better to say, it's probably informal organization established by G7, but recommendation of FATF and grey list of FATF are really key components for development of national anti-money laundering regimes. And of course, but here it's necessary to know properly that the activities of this organization might be more faster because we have so many new risks, so many new threats related to so many, I could say, as we see in internal systems, so many vulnerabilities that sometimes reaction of this organization is too late. For example, speaking about including of virtual asset service providers in the list of obliged entities, unfortunately, but it happened quite late. It was FATF took the decision in, if I remember correctly, in June 9, 2019. European Union earlier. But in any case, it was too late speaking about phenomena of illegal use or criminal use of virtual assets. And I could say that for key task of international organizations, especially European Union, just really monitor more deeper, more faster, new risk, new threats, and inside EU, outside EU, doesn't matter, and develop a proper legal network, legislation for reaction. If it's happened too late, we could really have problem as virtual assets, which unfortunately, but in many countries in the world, doesn't exist regulation of virtual asset service providers, but unfortunately we don't see any proper reaction of international organizations. Yes, here's also problems that we need to see not only rule, but proper implementations is rule and reaction for non-implementation. Yes, and but speaking also about other international organizations, especially here is necessary to note important role of so-called donors organization, which could really practically provide support in some countries to implement international standards. Because from my experience, such activity is quite expensive, take a lot of time, legal expertise, etc. And of course, the role of such organization, for example, as UNODC is very, very important, because UNODC acting in third countries, provide direct support to government of this country, just develop and implement new legislation, and not only legislation, capacities. If you speak about, for example, some support for countries, it must be not limited only for legislation, but sometimes we need really provide support to FOU, to law enforcement, because I remember very good Lithuanian situation, Estonia, same, just before our membership in European Union, when we started to receive so-called pre-accession support, and many law enforcement agencies received not only, soft support, so-called project, legislation, etc., but received a lot of hard support as well, computer, technologies, etc. And as we discussed already before, technologies is key element of successful FOU activities now. And without these technologies for FOU will be very difficult, but we understand everything is cost and technologies as well. And sometimes without international support, for some countries have really serious problem to implement such program and enhance national anti-money laundering system.
Yeah, absolutely. So, international cooperation in the AML CTF sphere should enhance for sure. And what's the role of education here? Not only in the international cooperation, but also in AML CTF landscape as a whole. What's the role of education?
Yes, it's absolutely agree. The role of education, trainings, and improvement of quality and competence, of course, is key element of any successful anti-money laundering system. But again, I was witness development of education system in Lithuania, how we started, first of all, to create and develop education system, because anti-money laundering law in Lithuania came into force in January 98, FOU was started activities, but already after maybe one year, maybe 1.5 years, we understood that we really need not only ask bank, financial sector to present reports, but we also need to give some feedback, first of all, to tell about quality of investigation, what results. And secondly, because we received very strong requests to financial sector about trainings. And it was maybe not so general training about anti-money laundering law, etc., because everybody had possibility to read that, but it was question about identification of red flags, of suspicious transactions, of some technical mistake. And list of questions, list of topic received from financial sector was very long. And I agreed first of all, as head of FOU, Financial Intelligence Unit, that one day I really need to say something to people. And first training we organized for one of the biggest commercial bank in 4 different regions. And I remember it was first meeting, it was absolutely disaster for myself, because I didn't have any experience as teacher. And it was maybe some stress for me, psychological stress for the first training. But on the end of our course, during the fourth training, it was absolutely a success story, because I understood what really need people, what we really need to present, what's really need for education, and how useful is our information. Not only theoretical, that please read this article, read this governmental solution, etc. No, but how to implement correctly, and result of this implementation. Success story or unsuccess story too. Mm-hmm. And after we started to use this mixed model, some theoretical background, some international, but maybe 6 or maybe 70% anyway, we spend attention to our local problematic, 2 cases started in investigations in Lithuania, to some technical problem, etc., but only our national approach. And I could say after that, I start to develop already some training programs for, first of all, financial sector, where we really use this successful example. And I could say what it was first step, but second step is that I always said that FIU must be always open for education and for training program, because probably only FIU is the best teacher, as I said, best professor. And for us, it's very important that FIU, in some countries, we have some training center, etc., but unfortunately not for us, because we are too small, probably. But what is important to really to fix time and to spend attention to participation in such trainings, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Only after that it will be successful, when you could tell Rep AML officer of the bank what happened with your report after FIU receives it. What happened? How happened? And it was possible to start an investigation or not, and why. And I think only practitioners could really tell that in detail and provide all necessary full information for understanding of AML officer.
Yeah, that's what we pay attention to in our training programs as well. You, for sure, should have some part of some theoretical part, because without theory, we have abstract thinking compared to AI. But without that theory, we cannot expand our abstract thinking. But also, we should have a practical part, which shows us the real cases. And you connect them, you connect those parts, and you create a good education. But they should be balanced. There shouldn't be some excess of some of these parts. And yeah, FIUs for sure should contribute to that education. They don't have enough resources to create those programs, but they can contribute their expertise to those programs. That what they probably should think of doing.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking about us, but of course, we understand that FIU is quite limited, and we need also to speak about possibility to get education related with AML in universities, in training center, high school, etc. And of course, AML must be part of studies of bachelor's or master's programs in such, for example, areas as risk assessment, for example, anti-fraud, maybe some criminal investigations, lawyers, etc. It's absolutely, anti-money laundering is really important component, but only question how many days, or it could be 1 semester, or 2 or 3. It's very different according to his profession, which person he would like to receive. But anyway, speaking about anti-money laundering structure in many financial institution, practically we have 3 levels. First level, of course, we speak about senior management, or about people who agree or disagree to open account for politically exposed persons. And actually, if this senior management staff doesn't receive training, it's not correct. Why? Because question how you correct, you sign this agreement to open account for PEP. Do you know what you are doing? How it's correct? It means you need to have qualification. It's first level. Second level, of course, we speak about AML offices, but sometimes if we have big structure, big units, etc., we have senior staff on AML office, and we speak about technical stuff. Sometimes it could be different, and also for us it's impossible to forget that front in financial institutions especially also need training. Why? Because I remember from my Lithuanian experience, many of such indicators, suspicious operations, were related not with financial operations, but so-called behavior-based indicators. And behavior-based indicator is possible to identify not by AML officer who's sitting somewhere in the office, maybe another building, but it's very important for front, for a person who already a fixed client who tried to go inside the building. He's allowed or not. Maybe he's frontman, maybe money moves, maybe controlled by other person. How is possible to do? Only using video cameras. For example, in the last year, as I know, already some new technologies such as face identification, etc., used quite successfully for anti-money laundering as well. Why? Because if we understand that properly our clients is controlled by another person, but what we have only face of these persons, but if you have already face, it's already enough. Just to identify car which person used, or another situations when we could connect person and with identification documents. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So 3 levels of education. Yeah, that's enough. It's how the classical educational system is built, like bachelor's, master's degree, and
PhDs, yes.
and PhD, of course. So that's what we have as well, and that's enough. Not more, not less.
Speaking about anti-private, anti-laundering sector, yes, but don't forget here additional supervisors, also, and investigators. And I remember in some countries we developed education system not only for AML, not only for investigators, but in some countries we receive requests to develop something for judges as well. Because it was necessary, because judge court is the final stage of money laundering. Please don't forget that if judge will really get case about money laundering and first time in his life hear what's mean money laundering, but he or she judge. They need to take decision to convict or not convict, what is very important also to include such program in the judge education system as well.
Yeah, that's also especially important for the public sector.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and those should be separate programs for sure.
Yes, and speaking about next issues, terrorist financing. Don't forget that terrorist financing is not only area where acting FIU. We have special institutions, etc. And of course, question about education of CIS institution, or just including of terrorist financing issues in educational program of CIS institution as well. Sanctions, also as part of anti-money laundering, because recommendation 6 or 7, 2 related to the United Nations sanctions. Okay, who must implement? And here we identify it's not only task of FIU and supervisors, sometimes customs also must be involved. Because CIS is mean prohibition to conduct any operation of this person related with import-export operations as well. You see how is big number of our potential, not clients, I could say, but institutions which must have maximum or minimum, middle or minimal level, but anti-money laundering and counter financing terrorism education as well.
Yeah, of course. So that's why AML, CTF, and also proliferation financing.
Additionally, proliferation financing. Don't forget to additional. Yes, additional.
All right. But let's talk more about those learners who receive that education. What personal qualities should they have to be successful in their AML career, be it AML officer in the private sector or an investigator in the public sector?
Yes. First of all, if we speak about such courses, we speak not only about how we could speak about quality of such courses, because not only talking about programs, how much information the student receive, etc., etc. No, of course, we need to speak about such system of examinations, which support us to clarify that person, he or she really achieve a necessary level of understanding. And here, question about examinations. For example, usually what we use pre-test, we use post-test for any trainings. Now, if you conducting some one or few days training, it's very important for you to understand what people know about money laundering before that, and of course what they receive. But it's only possible to use with test system, and such test system must be, I think, used everywhere. And if he or she, some person would like to work in AML industry, of course it's necessary to have some approval or some evidence that this person had enough knowledge about that. Mm-hmm. But of course, here different countries have different systems. But without this certification system, I could say to talk about the quality is quite difficult.
Yeah, for sure. You should receive a one-time certification, but you should recertify for that. So Absolutely. You should have regular training. That's what financial intelligence units and international organizations tell us to do, is to have regular training to keep ourselves up to date and with the freshest information.
Yes, absolutely. Don't forget that we have also FATF. We have some changes and important changes of FATF recommendations. Maybe not so many, but anyway, happened. After that, we have the changes of national legislation or some rules, etc. And we understand that just to say that, okay, person one in 10 years, for example, was trained, was examined, etc., is really not enough. But here, of course, here we could use modern technologies to do that. And such programs as e-learning, for example, it's also quite well developed. And here using e-learning, especially not only for external but internal programs could also support senior management of financial institution to be sure that staff qualified and staff will react properly to suspicious cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's about the certification programs, the professional qualities of those who work with AML CCF. But what about their personal qualities? What should their personal qualities be like? Should they be more attentive to details, like it's classic, but should they be more creative or?
First of all, what I really say after my 25 years in anti-money laundering industry, could I say that it's impossible to start to work AML officer. It's necessary to be born already with some AML, things inside your mentality. Because what I really mentioned that for me, anti-money laundering is like hunting. And person, he must be hunter inside soul. He must be really focused to monitor, make surveillance, but not physical, of course, surveillance. To really to understand to have possibility to create psychological profile of potential criminal. Why? You just give a simple example. We speak in risk assessment, but if you don't really have your own understanding what is middle risk, for you it will be impossible to understand what is high risk, what is low risk. But how is possible to do? It means you must have some things inside. And after 25 years and working many years in high schools, universities with students, and I could say I always like to see when especially young people who are starting career, they really are some hunters. They really need that. They really to understand that his job is not time from 8 to 5 somewhere in the office in front of computer, but when you really would like to achieve some results. When each suspicious transaction report which you send, for you not just formality, not just statistic, but it's really a result of you hunting, and you will be really happy, and you're absolutely happy when you get some feedback that it was positive, that investigation was started, and you really activity really supported to protect, I always know that, national financial system. If you do that, if you feel that you are protector of national financial system, not just your financial institution, it's absolutely excellent. And I always like that I could say, yes, we have AML officer. If not, usually I am really have serious doubts to speak about quality, because scandals, for unfortunately, but we have so many scandals related with incorrect or not proper implementation of AML rules. And in many cases, according, I could say, the rules, practically everything was done absolutely correctly. What was written, it was implemented. But why without any result? Because it's art. It's not, this profession is really art. And if you don't understand that, sorry, but you're not member of our profession, not member of our industry. It's necessary to change work.
Yeah, that's what we absolutely keep repeating all the time. Understand your impact, understand your role in that world, that you contribute to the global financial system, to the integrity, you combat terrorist financing, you combat money laundering, you combat those crimes that are predicate crimes to money laundering, which are, for example, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and sexual abuse of children, which is one of the most severe crimes and quite terrible.
Quite famous now.
And you are fighters that fight those crimes directly. You are part of that system. You are part of that law enforcement system for sure. You're part of those people who fight financial crimes and predicate crimes as well. So
yes, and for me, it's always what I use it usually during especially when in beginning of training programs, I used also a lot of example about predicate offense. And first of all, to prove and to show how dangerous money laundering, because it is not only some numbers, it's not only some financial transactions, it's not white collar crime. But we have as predicate offense many crimes, brutal crimes, crime against person, crimes against children, etc., etc. And if people psychologically don't understand that, it will be quite difficult to understand that they do something important, because they'll say, okay, here I have few millions operations, and one I stop, another not. It's just some things that I'm doing but I stay somewhere in financial world, somewhere outside. No, you don't really, it's impossible to stay outside. And if you work in anti-money laundering, you must understand that today probably you have money from fraud, But tomorrow you will have money for sexual abuse of children. After tomorrow you could have money from some drugs dealers, or you have some money from fraud against senior adults, which is very, very famous crime now. Yes, and the victim of this crime is really adult person who probably lost all the money which he or she collected all life, saved of life. You must understand that. It means social responsibility must be also inside you.
Yeah, you should understand your contribution, and that contribution is for good, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
You are on the other side, on the right side of that fighting board, as to speak, that you fight criminals. So you are part of those heroes, for sure.
Yes, you are part of private sector, but anyway, you are part of law enforcement.
Yeah.
You are maybe so-called you're volunteer, but you are part of law enforcement. Yes.
Yeah, in practice, the people working in public sector do not directly cooperate with the private sector so effectively, but that's for sure in future. They are part of the one system. The goal is the same, not to fine you, not to give you a big fine, not to imprison you. Yeah, but to fight financial crimes and predicate crimes as well. So we share that goal in that sector, for sure. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Interesting.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
It was really cool. Stay with us and stay tuned.
Okay.